Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on wherever you are globally. Welcome to this beautiful session, a very interesting conversation on the blurring edge of jobs, especially in the context of digital. My name is Ashish Mehta. I'm talking to a lot of you for the first time, so let me take this opportunity to quickly introduce myself. While I've led strong business analysis, book of business for the last 25 years, and I'm a passionate business analysis professional, I've also worked with IIBA for 13 years, out of which 10 years I've been a volunteer. I've volunteered to lead the India region for good 9 of those 10 years. And last year, of those volunteer efforts, I also got an opportunity to work as a global board of directors. So pretty proud of that. I'm also among the first four volunteers that were awarded by IIBA. So again, a very proud moment for me. Um, Last 3 years, I have worked as a part of the senior leadership team of IIBA to lead the India APAC regions, as well as establishing and running the global thought leadership initiative of IIBA. The purpose of which was really to drive the relevance of business analysis in the context of digital. And we'll talk about a lot of that in this conversation. I also got an opportunity to co-author IIBA's business analysis, guide to business data analytics. Um, while I did all of that, I founded BA Convention and Horizon, the two conference platforms out of India. Especially Business Analysis Convention it's a 800 people strong conference, annual conference that happens in Bangalore every year, and almost 30,000 people watch it live, along with 8,800 people that attend it in person. And currently, I'm in the startup mode, so very interesting journey. But while I did all of that, I think I really want to quickly talk about the IIB's Global Thought Leadership Initiative that really worked towards establishing the relevance of business analysis profession in the context of digital. And while we did that, just a quick flashback on some of the white papers that we authored in the context of digital. There's a paper on digital business analysis best practices that covers 7 foundational practices that are critical for a BA to succeed in the digital world. And I'm not going to get deeper into it. You can download all these papers from IIBA's portal. Can visit the white paper section on the IIBA portals, and all of them are already present there as free download. The other paper was really focused on the competencies for succeeding in the digital world, and there were 8 groups of competencies that we have described. So pretty much a lot of effort in explaining and helping community how to go about the digital space. One of the section in those papers also talks about how we're going to drive the career progression in digital. So while the domain expertise as well as the 6 knowledge areas are critical to business analysis foundation, there are a lot of micro credentials and specializations that are emerging over a period of time. And no wonders you've noticed IIBA launching few additional certifications in the case of cyber, data, and another one on product is about to come pretty soon. So there is a lot of this progression that we did. And when I left, when I left IIBA and thought leadership, I continued my journey and my research in the space of digital. And I did a lot of analysis. One of the analysis was really on LinkedIn. If you do a quick search on LinkedIn with a digital as a search criteria, you get 18 million plus profiles. Look at any profile, and they are all beautiful. They're all wonderful, including mine, by the way. It clearly explains how good we all professionals are in the case of digital, how successful we are, what all achievements we've had, and so on and so forth. And everything looks beautiful. Everything looks that everybody has succeeded, and it looks great. But at this moment, I want to ask a quick question to you guys. Are you ready for the digital future? Think about it. I'm going to pause here for a second. Just read this question again and ask it to yourself. Are you ready for your digital future? Okay. Now, have you realized how your mind thinks when you're thinking about this particular scenario? Um, I do so. You know, my mind says yes, I'm ready, but and there is but. Okay, there is some confusion. Digital. There are a lot of aspects of digital: business analysis, data, product, processes, or reimagining digital processes for that matter, customer experience, user experience, technologies, agile, scrum, business domain, and so on and so forth. And this world is so big, the digital world is so big, and it goes on and on. And when I look at my applicability or my relevance in the case of digital, I look at these criteria or these topics and see how good or bad I am in the space of digital. But when I think about what all do I have, it's very vague definition. We mostly think around a job title. I am a chief digital officer, or I am a director of digital practice, or I am driving technology, or I am driving XYZ in the context of digital. And that describes my capabilities for that matter. A typical way of looking at a profile. And when I think about what am I missing, for me to succeed in the digital future, really it's a very, very vague answer. I can't really find good gaps in how I can really succeed in the digital space. Of course, I will look at the definition of digital that I've just described, but it doesn't end here. The digital context doesn't end here. It goes on and on, and that's why the complexity of digital is huge. Um, right. While we looked at all of this, and so LinkedIn was a great insight to me. Nothing wrong in anybody's profile, by the way. It's just that my observation, everybody is so good, everybody is great. But when I did some more research, that also validated 60% of the companies that have undergone the digital transformation have created new business models. 55% of the startups have adopted the digital business strategy. For them, they're focused on digital, and compared to 38% traditional companies. 89% of all the companies who have adopted digital have got digital first business strategy. So there is a lot of focus corporates have as far as digital is concerned. But guess what? In 2018 alone, out of $1.3 trillion spent in digital transformation, 900 billion was a waste. 70% of digital transformations fail. So on one side, we've got LinkedIn, we've got 18 million plus profiles on digital. It's phenomenal, everything is great. On the other side, those 1.8 million or 18 million great professionals or great capabilities that we have led to $900 billion of waste. Another good research. This is dated 2019. 79% of global CEOs are concerned about availability of digital skills. This is a research that's done by PwC. They spoke to almost 3,000 plus CEOs, and 79% of them are really concerned. On the other side, Microsoft and LinkedIn just published another research in the month of July this year, and that is projecting 149 million new jobs in digital by 2025. So, do you understand the complexity? Okay, let me give you another stat. Gartner last year said 64% of the managers don't think their employees are able to keep pace with future skills that are needed to be successful in the digital game. Furthermore, 70% of the employees say that they don't have even mastered the skills that they needed for the jobs. So really, I mean, it's a shocking scenario. On one side, we've got phenomenal digital talent available globally, but on the other side, 79% of CEOs are concerned. Gartner is concerned. There are so many failures and waste. And on the other side, in the third dimension, there's so much opportunity coming up in the next 5 years for all of us. So really, I think I'm starting to draw some corollaries of all this research. And my first one is that today's workforce neither possess the right skills nor know what skills they are missing to build their career in digital. Really, it's a bold statement, but I think it's pretty much true. And I'm going to request you again, just go and ask your question, sit down in a closed door room and ask that question again. Are you ready for digital? And think, what do you have? What skills do you possess? Why do you think you will be successful? Why do you think you're going to fail? What gaps do you have? And stuff like that. And I think there is some clarity that's needed for us to rethink about, how we approach digital. Let's go next, right? Let's look at some of the roles in the digital world. And let's start with business analysis. Well, business analysis in 20s and beyond, of course, we need BA best practices. That's where body of knowledge and IIBA, all these practices are of tremendous help. But world doesn't stop there anymore, right? You need agile, you need market analysis, you need customer experience, you need to know product ownership because most of you are going to work in product space. Projects are dead, it's the world of products that is evolving. A lot of you have to really play with data and analytics and drive decisions, inform decisions from that. Processes, really, it's not a process of 15 steps anymore. It's a matter of 3 clicks and you're able to order Uber at your doorstep. So those are the kind of processes that we need. Cyber and so on and so forth. It's a very small list, but the list goes on. So as far as business analysis profession is concerned, in the context of digital, just look at it. The complexity of capabilities that are required are growing day by day. Every day you are expected to learn new skills, new competencies as a part of the profession and the career that you want to go in. But let's talk about a few more roles, right? Let's talk about product ownership in 20s. And pretty much product ownership means you need to at least know product ownership best practices. And there are a number of non-profit organizations and a lot of the professional bodies who have got these capabilities. But along with that, today's product owner really needs to have great business analysis expertise. They should be able to articulate the business problem and requirements much more clearly. Of course, they need to know agile. They need to be able to discover the needs of the market. They need to empathize with the customer again. So they need to know customer experience aspect of it. Again, they need to be able to interpret data and analytics, the information that's needed for you to make some good decisions, processes, cyber, and so on and so forth. So if you look at product ownership space as well, it's getting complex day by day. It's no more just the aspect of the product ownership best practices alone. There are so many other aspects, so many other competencies and skills that you need in the product ownership space. Let's take another example, the analytics aspect of it. Analytics roles in 20s. Of course, you need business analytics capabilities. But at the same time, you need business analysis aspect of it as well. You need to be able to articulate the business problem and be able to define and relate to the problem and relate to the needs very clearly. And that requires great business analysis expertise. Of course, you're going to be part of the team, that is working in the agile context. So it's an incremental, evolving analytics space. Most of the projects follow agile. Of course, you need to take care of the cyber aspect of the data. You need to be able to compare your analysis with what what information you gather from the market. Of course, you need to be able to empathize with customer. You need to be able to understand the experience and try to map it to the data that you are analyzing. Of course, the process understanding on being able to articulate or explain the changes that are needed in processes. The product management aspect of it, because you're in a larger team. Analytics is one component of the larger solution, larger digital transformation. So if you notice, these three roles pretty much looks like everyone needs every skill in varied degrees. These are just three examples that I've given, right? A very, very complex situation. And it's evolving. It's not just the business analysis profession that's going for the transformation. It's about product ownership. It's about analytics. It's about data space. It's about the cyberspace. It's about, you name it, really, in the context of digital. You name robotic process automation. You name, for that matter, any digital role. these aspects are becoming critical. Even in the coding skills, you know, coders have started to need some of these skills at various levels. So really, I have drawn the second conclusion out of this research, and that is that titles are getting irrelevant. I don't think, whether you are a business analyst, a business analyst, or a product owner, or a business analytics guy, or a data guy, or a RPA professional, and so on and so forth. I think titles are very relevant. It's a time for the full stack digital consultant. I'm sure you've heard about full stack developers, full stack front end developers, full stack back end developers that know end to end of all the technologies or most of the technologies that are needed in that space. I think the world is going to be evolving to full stack digital consultant that can handle multiple aspects of the job at the same time, right? It seems like really the blurring edge of jobs to me. The titles are getting irrelevant, and the jobs are getting so blurred that even if you are specialized in business analysis or analytics or product space, there's going to be so much of overlap of competencies and capabilities among all these professionals. And there's a reason, right? All these professions really need multiple aspects of skills and competencies that we just referred to. So let's move forward, right? And now we are living COVID. I hope everybody is safe and sound in your family. So really, at this moment, I really want to wish that for all of you. But COVID has actually pushing us in redefining this relevance of various skills. I read an interesting type article. It's as recent as 13th October, just a week old, in one of the very prominent newspaper in India called Economic Times. And they had this snapshot, and they're calling it Future Hybrid Workplace. Um, I'll pause here for a second. Are you making any observation here? I made an observation. Have you made an observation in this image? Just think about it for a second. Well, if you notice the technical and digital skills, they are covered in 3 lines. The business skills in 5, and soft skills, my dear friends, it's in 6 lines. So look at the number of skills in each of these sections. Small technical digital skills space, little bigger business skills space, and soft skills, oh my God, all of us are working from home. All of us are trying to interact with clients from home. All of us are trying to interact with the backend and support staff from home. All of us are trying to talk to our managers from home, and so on and so forth. Guys, that requires enormous amount of not just the business understanding, but the soft skills. I think soft skills are going to take precedence as we move forward in the digital space. The technical skills are going to be ubiquitous. I think it's going to be everywhere. It's the soft skills that are going to really define or be the differentiator in our views. So the focus on business and soft skills is growing multifold thanks to COVID. COVID is pushing us to rethink our business processes, to rethink our business models, and putting pressure on all of us to be able to have the highest amount of soft skills so we are able to interact with every stakeholder as if we are sitting with them on a daily basis in a chair next to their chair for that matter, right? So another conclusion: business and soft skills of highest caliber needed in everyone. I think that's going to be very, very critical as we scale in the context of digital. Well, let's look at some of the business context. And to me, there is a new paradigm for business outcome now. If you remember the erstwhile days of projects, really the outcome was based on schedule, cost, and scope. You're able to manage the scope, you're able to deliver the engagement on time, you're able to deliver within budget. But that has got redefined now. It's no more schedule, it's the velocity. How fast can you deliver the value and experience that your stakeholders are looking for? So really the definition of how a business is evaluated, the KPIs of the business for that matter have changed. It's the velocity, experience, and the business value or the benefits that you are delivering to your stakeholders. That is what is defining success for the digital businesses. And people are not able to deliver that. I think that's one of the single most critical factor that we see $900 billion loss out of $1.3 trillion spent just in 2018 alone. Humongous. And um, I think people have failed to understand the velocity, the experience, and the value aspect of it while they were delivering the solutions to their stakeholders. So, really, the fourth corollary, today's business KPIs have changed, and this requires change in our mindset and approach. So, just to summarize quickly, just a recap, four key gaps that I've been able to identify. And there could be a few more, but I'm focused on these four right now. One, of course, today's workforce, they don't really know what skills they possess, and where the gaps are as far as succeeding in digital business is concerned. The way most people go about showcasing their skill set is with the help of phenomenal resume that, for example, that they're presenting on LinkedIn, and it talks about phenomenal work that they've done in the past, or maybe some of the global certifications, which are really good indicator of the skills. But guess what? A lot of those certifications are in isolation to each other. There is no single snapshot of the competencies and capabilities that an individual possesses. And that's a big gap. Individuals are struggling with that, in my views. Titles are irrelevant. Time for the full stack digital consultant, some superhuman really to help us succeed in the digital space. And a key reason for, to me at least, the jobs are blurring. Uh, you know, uh, Business and soft skills of highest caliber, that's going to become pretty much prominent as we move into this decade. And the business KPIs, that are going to be changing. Of course, we talk about three. I'm sure as you get deeper into it, you will have a number of very specific KPIs that are going to help you succeed in the digital space. So, how do we succeed, right? And that's a $1 million question. And to me, it requires a drastic change in how we think, in how we approach our talent, our competency building, our skills for that matter. How we approach needs to also change our mindset, right? How we think about this drastic change. Let me give you a few tips on how I think I would go about, as I handle this in the future, right? First of all, I think it requires a great shift in our mindset, in how we really think about digital. The first one, most of us carry job title mindset. I want to be a product owner. I want to be a business analyst. I want to get into business data analytics space. We define space or title, and that is how we want ourselves to be looked at. Um, there's no way we can explain whether we can handle those jobs. The only way we can explain whether we are fit for those jobs is by virtue of presenting our resumes of past activities that we have done, or set of certifications that we possess. But I think we have to move away from that to thinking around skills and competencies that are needed for us to succeed in the digital context. And not really just focus on what we have done in the past. I think we need to see whether we can deliver in future. So that's a big shift that we need to have. The second shift is typically we all carry a long-term mindset, right? We all think about where we want to be, in our career ladder. I want to be a chief digital officer. I want to be a CEO. I want to be a product owner. I want to be a analytics professional for that matter. And we typically keep a long-term point of view in what we see, us as a success criteria for ourselves. I think that needs to change. I don't think, I was just reading another research, and it said that the digital world is going to change every 4 years. Every 4 years, there will be new jobs that don't exist today. Guys, that's a phenomenal, input to me. My world is going to change in 4 years, which means I need to change every 4 years. And if I need to be ready after 4 years, I need to start making those changes now. so that I'm successful. So I don't think the long-term mindset of career ladder, the way we think as career, is going to be relevant in the context of digital. I think we need to think near term, maybe 1 year, 2 year, and then we need to be able to, move away from an implementation mindset to a continually learning mindset. Typically, what we do is we have acquired the skill and we try to implement that skill or that competency for ages. I've understood business analysis best practices, and I apply that for next 5 to 10 years, right? It goes on and on, and I don't think that that makes any more sense to me. I think what we need today is to learn a skill, learn another skill, learn another skill, and be able to unlearn something that we learned maybe 8 months back. I think we can learn only so much. It's a continual cycle, right? So we should be able to learn and unlearn much quicker on a daily basis. I think learning is like eating food every day. I think we need to get into that mindset. I don't think we can learn by going through a 2 year certification, a professional certification for that matter. We need to learn in 2 hours. Learn something, apply, and learn something and apply, and learn something and apply, and learn from the mistakes, right? So it requires a continuous cycle of learning on a daily basis. Um, and that's a big mindset shift. Just look at how we perform our jobs today, right? We open our laptop, 8 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning, and start with the activities that we are supposed to be performing on a daily basis. We continue to do that throughout the day. And once the day is over, we shut it down and say, thank you very much, the day's job is over, and go back to relaxing. I don't think there is anything wrong there, but what we are missing is that continual learning aspect of it. I think that's going to be extremely critical for you to succeed in the digital world. And then the focus on soft skills. I think as humans, we believe that we have all the soft skills that we need anytime in our life. I don't think many of us spend enough time in learning new soft skills and being more effective in the soft skills that we have. So we are typically neutral to soft skills, but not anymore. I don't think that world is going to live with like this anymore. I think we have to have extensive amount of focus on soft skills. And in my view, soft skills are not something that you can learn in hours, right? It takes time. It's part of the personality trait. It's part of who you are. Think about being extrovert and introvert, right? These two words, each of us have evaluated ourselves and others using these keywords, these two keywords. So think about it. I think there's so much associated with it, and if somebody has to get into a full set, consulting role in the digital space, and if that person is introvert, think about the amount of shift in soft skills that this person has to go through, right? And stuff like that. So, long story short, I think it requires tremendous focus now for us to, learn and hone the soft skills again on a daily basis. I think this is going to be critical. We all have heard about design thinking. The first phase of design thinking is empathizing, and we try to learn empathy using books. But I don't think we can learn empathy using books. I think we all know what empathy means. It's a matter of practicing that and being more human to the people that we are interacting with. So just as an example, right? There's so much associated with soft skills in the context of digital that each role, each function will require the soft skills extensively. So, in summary, I think um, it requires all of these 4 points really focus on the shift that we need in our mindset for us to be able to succeed in the digital context. Now, how about the approach? We spoke about the mindset, but is there an approach that we can follow? Is there a framework? And I've designed this framework for myself, right? This is just a quick tip for all of us, and this is what I'm following right now, right? It's a three-pronged approach. the first phase of that approach is a real-time skill IQ. Really knowing what skills I have, what gaps I have, how do I benchmark with peers on a real-time basis, on a daily basis, right? Always current skills, which means you're always updating your skills, always learning where the gaps are and trying to fix those gaps. Um, you're also benchmarking yourself with peers, because that's one of the best way of knowing where your peers are and how they work, and trying to match the capabilities with the best peers that you know, right? So it's a very intelligent evaluation that one needs to go through. It's a very cyclic affair, right? Each of these three phases of just enough framework, I just call it just enough framework, I just really want to focus on truly the minimalistic steps that I need to perform, so I'm able to succeed in the digital context. So first step, real-time skill IQ on a daily basis. Maybe at the end of the day, just note down what gaps in the skills you've identified, note down what skills did come into play while you perform certain jobs, note down if you've been able to benchmark yourself with any of the peers, and that itself, that discipline of performing this activity on a daily basis will help you understand how you can improve and how quickly you can improve your capabilities for you to succeed in the digital space. The second one is reimagined jobs. And that's where I think a lot of corporates need to come together. I think the whole industry needs to relook at how we look at jobs. Typical jobs, think about it, right? The jobs are set of activities that one is expected to perform, and then most likely set of competencies, which are mostly very vague. There's no quantification around those competencies, and that those two sections typically define the job metrics, for a particular job. Um, Now, how we present ourselves against those jobs is by virtue of our resume, which is a collection of our past activities and past accolades and successes, and we try to prove ourselves that we would be able to do the proposed job by explaining the past activities that we have performed. I don't think we talk about a match between whether we possess the right competencies to be able to perform those jobs. We try to showcase the examples of activities that we have done, and through those examples, we try to justify that we've got our right skills and competencies. But think about, what if there was a great way of matching the competencies? It's not about what you've done in the past, it's what you can do in the job that you're handling right now or you're looking for in the future. So this cycle is again this step is also very cyclic in nature, reimagining the job, reimagining your existing job or a new job for that matter. But we need to think about jobs a little differently. And then the third step is of course career engineering, right? And guiding and crafting your career as you progress in your life. And of course, who doesn't want to grow, right? Everyone wants to grow. But the problem is, most of the time, the career conversation is driven by the employer, right? Employers drive how one can grow in the organization. And in case you're not satisfied with that growth, you end up quitting the job, taking another job, and again the same cycle repeats. So I think the way I would want us to control our careers is by virtue of taking control of the career ladder, right? Self-directing the career rather than depending upon enterprises or employers to direct your career. And that requires focus on building the right set of competencies and skills. Again, remember, jobs are going to change every 4 years. You need to be very fast in learning and unlearning new skills and competencies. So the focus on micro credentials, micro learning, certifications, best practices, mentoring, it's a continuous cycle on a daily basis again. Think about it. I again call it as food for jobs, or food for skills for that matter, right? You have to perform these steps on a daily basis to be able to progress this path. I don't think we can do it in months. So typically we relook at our skills when we are either changing projects or products or we are changing jobs. I think that is the time when we try to relook at the skills and competencies that we have or what we can do, what we can't do. But I think that is not going to work in the digital context. It's going to require for all of us to be very agile, as much agile as possible on a daily basis to be able to direct our career and progression in the context of digital. So, guys, um, this is what I had to talk about. Again, it's a very, to me, it's a weird thinking right now because how I'm looking at some of the skills, some of the jobs, some of the career engineering aspect of it is very different from how typically all of us look at. There is no infrastructure that we all have. There are no tools that are available right now that will help us drive some of these three steps for that matter. But I think there is enough that we already have as professionals that we can work on these three steps and drive our future. So I hope you've enjoyed the session. I'm open for any questions that you may have. You can reach out to me on my email, ashish@clip.com. And I'm ready for any of the questions as we speak in the session. Thank you very much.